Air Force One is a name given to any Air Force aircraft that is carrying the president on board at that time, and is typically in one of his highly customized Boeing 747-200B series aircraft. Capable of storing ridiculous amounts of fuel on board, the president can typically fly anywhere he wants to at a moment's notice. It's equipped with all the latest security features, plenty of food, a small hospital, and possibly even a $24 million fridge. Here are the craziest facts about Air Force One. Hey guys, it's your host for today, American Eye. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to Titanic, and if you like today's content, be sure to check out my channel, American Eye. We'll see you there. Taking off. The most notable aircraft that's used to transport the Commander-in-Chief is given the name of the VC-25 for this specific one we're looking at. You can clearly see that any other country will have a pretty good idea who's landed into their airport with this beast. Interior square footage measures at 4,000 square feet, and there are even 3 stories inside this place. It has plenty of space for government officials, the First Lady and her stuff, and the whole Trump family. It can even typically carry food for about 100 people. It has enough gas on board to travel halfway across the world, but that won't limit it by any means. Capable of refueling mid-air, it has unlimited range on planet Earth, so keep an eye out if it comes to your town. Wheel cameras. Thinking about sabotaging the plane's wheels to ensure an unsafe landing? Think again. Air Force One has a nickname of the Flying Fortress for a good reason. It's fitted with security cameras just about everywhere, but possibly one of the more interesting places are the cameras in the wheels. It's believed that the cameras are so advanced that they can actually read a vehicle's license plate while up in the air. If you are able to somehow sabotage them, you'll more likely end up on camera. Max speed. The president needs to get to places in a hurry. We're not spending our tax dollars for some slow passenger plane. The Boeing 747 Air Force One can travel at a speed of 650 miles an hour or 1,046 kilometers per hour. Other times, if it really needs to, it can reach a speed of 700 miles per hour if it's in a hurry. That means a trip from LA to New York will only take about 4 hours if the pedal is put to the metal. Typical commercial flights will typically take about 5 to 6 hours for this type of cross-country flight. It's also the fastest commercial aircraft in the world, hitting 0.855 Mach. Nuclear resistance. The government has taken special precautions in the case of a full-blown nuclear apocalypse, and Air Force One would prove to be a formidable stronghold. In the event that this were ever to happen, the plane's body is built to withstand a nuke detonated from the ground. Thanks to armor plating, as long as the president is not too close to the actual blast, radiation exposure wouldn't be able to seep through by any means. A lot of gallons. Even though it's capable of refueling in midair, it can carry 53,611 gallons of fuel on board, but it's rather eco-friendly considering its massive size. It's able to emit 16 tons less of CO2 emissions than its commercial 747 counterpart. This difference would be equivalent to the amount of CO2 13 acres of U.S. forest can consume in a year. It's able to fly from Hong Kong to Washington, D.C. on a full tank. Although mid-air refueling is rather a rare occurrence, it certainly can be an important feature in the case of some type of emergency situation where landing might be unsafe. The first Air Force One. Air Force One No. 1 was actually referred to as the Sacred Cow, and it was the first military aircraft specifically designed to transport the President of the United States. It was used by President Roosevelt and was completed in June of 1944. On the very first flight of the Sacred Cow, Roosevelt flew from Santa Monica, California to Washington, D.C. It might look like a Douglas C-54, but it has many modifications. It was even fitted with an elevator in order to lift the president in his wheelchair. Once Harry Truman became president, he named it after his hometown of Independence, Missouri. A large bulletproof window was placed where the president would calmly sit, however the body of the plane wouldn't be able to stop a BB gun. Security features have come a long way. Air Force Two. Air Force One gets a lot of attention, but is there such thing as an Air Force Two? The answer is yes, and refers to the aircraft that carries a vice president, but not carrying the president. It often refers to a Boeing C-32, which is a modified 757. It's most commonly boarded by the vice president and his family. It is primarily modified to comfortably fit our backup president, his family, and other righteous flyers who accompany them. Another fun fact, Jill Biden claims to have once stuffed herself into Air Force Two's overhead compartment just as a gag to lighten up the mood. Doctor on board. Traveling by plane can often be a little bit unpredictable, and doctors must always be on standby to ensure the health of the leader of the free world. Not only is there a doctor on Air Force One, there's also a small emergency room on board as well, ready to tackle any situation. This mini hospital we see in the photo is equipped with top-notch operating equipment in case anything goes wrong. $24 million fridge. So there is no $24 million fridge, or so we're told to believe. An order was created in December of 2017 as a way to store large amounts of food on board. Apparently the head of state would not tolerate traditional airline food. Okay, so the real reason was so they can have enough food for 4 weeks in order to carry roughly 3,000 meals. The President and Secret Service are often very picky about their food and must thoroughly inspect each meal that is eaten. It would basically save a lot of time for them in the long run, but with the new Air Force One set to replace it soon, it doesn't really make much sense. Maybe if other countries cooked decent food for once, they wouldn't have needed it. In the end, Trump thought it was too expensive, and the idea was scratched. Unless that fridge can contain spare organs for the president, then it seems a little bit overpriced. Feeling kinda jelly? All of this cool stuff on the private plane might make you start to feel a little bit jelly. While some men might prefer beer like Gerald Ford, other presidents prefer a little bit more of a sugar rush. Ronald Reagan had a thing for jelly beans, and he made sure that the staff always had plenty of them on board. In addition to the candy, he also made sure a dentist was on board in order to ensure that they never got any cavities. During his 8-year presidency, he was supplied all the jelly beans he could have possibly asked for. Some credit his jelly bean addiction to helping him quit smoking. Anyone flying in Air Force One at that time would also be offered some jelly beans. The presidential helicopters. How much would the president be willing to spend on his own personal helicopter? The Sikorsky UH-60 Blackhawk is a 4-bladed twin engine that's seen service since 1979. Often used in search and rescue missions, it's also the official helicopter used by the President of the United States. When the President is on board, it gets the nickname of Marine One. Being able to carry 4 people, including 2 pilots and 2 gunners, this would ensure more firepower if it needed to be unleashed. The project started using the VH-71, but the Pentagon decided to terminate the project due to budget issues, design problems, and even President Obama said the whole thing was getting out of control. Eventually the project was cancelled, and they decided to go with a different helicopter and make 5 of them. These would be known as VH-71As, and they're at a price of $485 million each. This means that a total of $3.7 billion was scratched, but the ones that they're making now still seem ridiculously expensive. What kind of secret technology could these things be hiding? Miles of wire. With dozens of phones, communication systems, flat-screen TVs, and important electrical equipment, there's an estimated 240 miles worth of electrical wiring on Air Force One. This likely all gets put to use. It connects everything from the screens used on board to the retractable stairways. There is a total of 85 telephones, 2-way radios, fax machines, 19 TVs, and other classified information. Electronic countermeasures. Air Force One doesn't travel too far without the escort of some of America's best fighter planes, but other measures are made in case there's a close call. Here's one of the systems they probably prefer you don't know about. It's what's known as their Electronic Countermeasurement, or ECM, and it's used to jam enemy radar. This way, our planes can pretty much fly undetected through the skies if it needs to. Another cool thing is that it can actually ward off attackers by ejecting flares in order to throw off heat-seeking missiles. The Beast. The president also has an armored vehicle that he brings with him across the world. Don't think for a second the leader of the free world is going to get caught driving in some broken down piece of junk. He's got a few $1.5 million armored Cadillac limousines known as the Beast. And it doesn't get that nickname for nothing, folks. The limo is built with state-of-the-art mine-resistant armor technology and can easily fight off zombies if it had to. The windows are airtight in case of any biohazard attack. The fuel tank is specifically designed not to explode if it takes a direct hit. Oh yeah, and don't get us started on what they keep on the inside. And number 1. Trump Force One. Trump Force One is a nickname given to our president's massive Boeing 757 aircraft that he's currently using, but the name typically refers to any aircraft that he's using. The first plane he got was a 727, which was originally built for American Airlines, but he refitted it as a business jet for Diamond Shamrock in 1981. The Donald decided to take it off their hands, but sold a Boeing 727 in order to make some upgrades. Since 2011, he's been using the co-founder of Microsoft personal jet after purchasing it for an estimated $100 million. Why didn't he get some brand new one, you're asking? During an interview, the mogul prefers this model because it's been around for a while and has proven its effectiveness. He's often criticized Air Force One for being too small and would make some upgrades to it if he had to. But in reality, Air Force One is 75 feet longer but is missing the 24-karat gold sink. This typical plane can fit 180 to 200 people comfortably, but with new furnishings, he's reduced the capacity to only 43 people. Which one would you rather use? Trump Force One or Air Force One? Let us know in the comments section and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video.